Today, we're playing with fire. Alright, good morning guys and gals. It's Cowboy Rob back here at the Last Chance Ranch. Today we're going to get stronger and smarter together, alright? I'm going to teach you guys how to treat your wood old cowboy style. Now this is actually a Japanese technique called Yakisugi, more commonly known as Shou Sugi Ban, which means burnt cedar plank. Now we're using pine today, but most woods will take to this process pretty readily. This process involves charring the surface of your wood and then treating it with a light oil, and that's going to achieve three things here that we're really concerned with, okay? It's going to bug proof it. There's lots of termites out here in the desert. We don't want them getting into the wood. Secondly, here in the desert, wood is going to get dry and it's going to be thirsty. So any amount of moisture it's going to suck up readily, and then it's going to rot from the inside out. So we don't want that. And then finally, it's going to achieve a little bit of fire resistance compared to its natural bare state. Okay, here in the upper Sonoran Desert, it might be a little cooler than down south. However, we do still have our fair share of fire issues. So I hope you enjoy the show. If you do plan on trying this out yourself, just want to remind you to be very careful. We are playing with fire here, so be aware of your surroundings, be aware of where you're working and what's around where you're working. I've personally been engulfed in flames twice in my life. It's not very fun. Anyways, enjoy the show. See you around. Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to prepare your working area. But before we do that, I just wanted to point out a tip on wood placement. This part's really important. So you see here that there's a distinct line between these boards. That's a small half-inch gap that you should try to get rid of before you char your wood. Air will naturally pull itself upwards through these gaps between your wooden planks and feed any residual burning wood. Now we're not aiming to fully combust our wood here, only char the surface. However, you'll find that the edges of your wood will char more quickly and even catch on fire a little. This isn't necessarily a problem, but if you have that air feeding up through those gaps, the edges will burn too much and give you a bad result I'll talk about a little later. I've done this process more times than I can count anymore, and seemingly the best setup is on top of some cement blocks, but here in Cowboy Town you just use what you've got around you, so a couple big stones do the trick for me today. I suggest doing this in bulk, as in many boards at once, but I only needed 2 of them to get some posts in the ground and make this video a little shorter for you guys. When I initially researched this process, I really could only find 20+ minute long videos, so here's the quick and dirty. The reason you want to burn all of what you're intending to use at once is so that the process can go quicker. As you target one board with fire, the ones next to it will also start to get charred too, so it saves just a little bit of time and that adds up. So you just want to take your time when doing this. Go slow and be thorough. We're looking for a nice consistent look across the entire plank. You'll find that some parts of the wood don't burn as quickly, mostly the densest sections, like wherever there's a knot in the wood. That being said, don't hesitate to let your flame linger on those sections for some time until you see it actually become black and burnt. The change will become obvious in short time. If you have any sections that don't look uniform to the rest at the end, just hit it with a little more fire. Also, make sure to scorch the ends of your wood. If you're making cuts after this, be sure to come back and work those areas too. This all takes some time to get the right look, but be patient and you'll end up with a beautiful result like this. This is the charcoal texture that you're looking for. Now you can totally call it a day and leave it like this, that's an option, but Shou Sugi Ban wood can be made to have a variety of different results, and simply leaving a charcoal looking surface like this is perfectly acceptable, if that's how you want it to look. For our purposes, we want to get some oil into the material to keep out moisture, so we'll need to do some more work on these. If you intend to oil or stain your burnt planks, then here's your next step. Get yourself a wire brush and prepare to have your arms turn into noodles. I wouldn't suggest a brush with a handle on the side, as you're just going to end up with an extremely sore wrist. We snagged a wire brush broom and took off the handle so I could wire tie that thing to it, which makes it easier to apply downward pressure onto the surface. Now don't half-ass this. You want to give that wood hell and really exert some force into it. What this part of the process is achieving is breaking up all of that carbonized wood on the surface into a fine powder and massaging it into the fresher wood underneath. This is where the fire resistance comes from. Now, scientists all over debate whether this process truly gives the wood any resistance to fire, but what have they given us? Relativity, irrational urges, and the atom bomb? I don't know, maybe I'd give white coats a hard time, but You try burning a piece of wood that's already been burnt. Great, and now that that's done, give your arms a rest and get all that fine powder off the boards.
Don't breathe this.
You can use a soft brush to remove any excess, but I just agitate the planks briefly, so most of it, but not all of it, comes off. I quite like how a little leftover burnt powder gives the wood an almost glittery look when you're done. Alright, on to the final step of the process. This is where we give our wood a quick coat of oil. Yeah, that's not coffee in the chock-full of nuts container. I wish. That's a mixture of boiled linseed oil and mineral spirits at a 5-to-1 ratio. 5 parts linseed oil and 1 part mineral spirits. If you're looking for a more colorful final result, keep the mineral spirits and replace the oil with the stain of your choice. Achieving colorful Shou Sugi Ban wood isn't quite so straightforward, so seek out another video on that if you're looking for help. As you can tell, the wood is very thirsty after being scorched and will readily take in whatever oil you give it. Also, I don't really do a lot of staining and I'm not sure how much you put on, but like I said, it's thirsty, so huck to him, man. Just spit on that thing, you know? Give it as much as you think it deserves. This is my favorite part because it's not hot and it's not messy. Speaking of, I forgot to mention earlier that PPE might be recommended for this entire process. Now, I like getting dirty, so it's gloves off for me most of the time, and a mask will serve you well in reducing how much of that yummy-looking burnt wood powder goes into your lungs. Thankfully, the wind was cooperative that day and I didn't need one. On wind, you may want to plan around the weather when doing this whole thing. We get tons of wind here sporadically, and really any gust during the burning process is going to slow you down to a crawl and waste propane. Anyways, here is the final result. Just look at the color of that wood. Wow, stunning. So dark, chic, you know? I can see why this became popular in ancient Japan. Even though you saw a portion of our chicken run constructed with wood like this, the truly beautiful nature of the burnt wood can only be appreciated up close. I really like how all the grain pops out, a look that you don't get when you simply stain wood. Also, since we burnt and sanded this, everything gets a little smoother and rounded off. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video today and learned something useful. I'm really happy to share this with you all, and wanted to send you off with my best wishes. If you watch this, you're a legend, and I want you to treat yourself like one. It's easy to beat up on ourselves, so I wanted to remind you to be kind to yourself, and treat yourself with the respect and dignity that you deserve. In turn, you'll pass it on to others and make a better world around you. So stay breezy and stay cool. You're awesome. Never forget that. We'll catch you on the next one.